But what is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words From My Face. Tonight's show, we have World Cup Quater Finals. We've got the NBA free agency and Bryce Harper mouthing off. Enjoy. That was once in a lifetime. That was one of the greatest round ones of all time, of all sports, ever.
I think, though, Beverly Hills Cop, RoboCop crossover needs to happen.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Words From My Face. My name is Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo.
And we are the one and only home of the Chewbacca chainsaws. Yeah, Chewbacca was a little disappointed this week. He returned from Brazil. He thought America could go a little farther. Even though he's not technically American, he's not even technically Earthian. I don't know. Is that how you would say it? Earthian?
He crash landed in America first.
He did. His allegiance is to America. He's really our nuclear deterrent. What people don't know is America doesn't have any nuclear missiles. We just have a Chewbacca with a chainsaw. That is all you need to keep Russia at bay. All you need.
That's all you need to keep anyone at bay.
Well, yeah.
Anyone.
I mean, that is why we don't know of any aliens, because they are like, oh, Chewbacca's there? Yeah, we're going somewhere else. So, yeah.
What? They gave him a chainsaw? Why would they be so insane?
What are they thinking? Don't they know the destructive power a Wookiee with a chainsaw can wreak? Yes. Yeah, he's there. But yeah, so tonight we got our sports show coming at you because it is Thursday, and other than last week, this is what we do every Thursday. You know, sports coming at you. But yeah, so we got Bryce Harper. He's in the news. He's been mouthing off a little bit. The young Washington National star. We'll talk a little bit about that. Free agency just started on the 1st, so there's a lot of people being signed. I'm really going to run down my list of some of the bigger free agents, where they might land, where they'll end up. And then we, of course, we have to talk about the World Cup because it's going on. But we're going to start you off this week, same way we start you off every sports week, and that is with the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week Award. And this week's Chewbacca Chainsaw Award goes to probably the greatest American goalie of all time. Now, I don't know if that's saying a lot. I don't know if we have a prestigious history of goalies, but Tim Howard gets the Chewbacca Chainsaw Award of the Week. Did I say that? Yeah, I said that wrong. I don't know how to speak. Why do I do a show if I can't speak English? But
yeah, he's been blowing up the memes this week with all the, Tim Harper could save memes.
Tim Howard.
Tim Howard.
No, I didn't. I said Howard. Check the tape. Check the tape.
Bryce Harper, who we're talking about. Anyway, whatever.
Bryce Harper.
Did they have age? He had the name.
Thank you for saving me, because I wasn't speaking very well in the beginning, and you totally made me feel a lot better. So,
look, we're talking about Chewbacca chainsaws.
But yeah, so Tim Howard, he had, I believe it was 15 saves in last week's, or I guess earlier this week's, matchup against Belgium for the USA in the round of 16, which, yeah, so he pretty much killed it. Now, 15 saves, a lot of us know hockey. If a goalie only gets 15 saves in hockey, it doesn't really sound that much. But just to put this in perspective, this is the most saves a goalie has had in the past 50 years of World Cup competition. He single-handedly took us into overtime. Now, he couldn't win it for us because he's just the goalie, but he did his best. I mean, this team was on his back. I mean, it was absurd. Every shot was coming at him, left, right, sideways. It didn't matter. If he couldn't reach it with his hands, he was kicking it out with his foot. If he couldn't kick it out with his foot, he was using voodoo magic to make it go somewhere else. I mean, this guy was amazing. He was like brick wall for the first 90 minutes of that game. I mean, you can't ask for anything more out of your goalie. So that is actually one of the best performances, I mean, that I've ever seen. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but it is definitely the best goalie performance I've ever seen in any level of competition. Except for when I was 9 years old and I was the goalie, I was pretty good.
Anyway, so I was going to say, this also does speak to the defensiveness of all of soccer, considering, like you were saying, in hockey, 15 saves from a goalie wouldn't be a big deal. In soccer, it's a huge deal, and it's not like they have a lot of points go through. Like he had, I guess, 2 points went through. Usually these games are 1, 2, maybe a little bit more, but that's a game, right? But so they're not getting very many shots on the goal at all because of the defensiveness in the game by the rest of the players, aside from just the goalie. So.
Yeah, and I mean, really, if you look at it, most good goalies, I think if they average like 5 or 6 saves a game, they're excellent goalies. So triple that, and that's what you got from Tim Howard.
Well,
so Tim Howard,
too, they do need to be, because unlike hockey, soccer has a much bigger net, like huge goal.
It is pretty darn big. That's true. And in hockey, they wear so big of pads, like there's really not much space for it to go in.
And they have like extra netted gloves and whatever. But
also
Tim
the hockey
Harper,
rink
he does it with just his regular, thin gloves and jumping around.
And his feet. So, Tim Howard, you are the Chewbacca Chainsaw of the Week award winner. I need to shorten that. You're raising the eyebrow.
I can say Tim Howard, by the way. Tim Howard. That was the guy's name. He's got
Tim Howard. That's him. Tim Howard. Not Bryce Howard. Not Tim Harper. Not Bryce Broward. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that. All right. The joke has officially died. So, but yeah, let's keep it on the subject of soccer, though, and talk about the World Cup, because it is in the round of the quarterfinals. They don't. I don't like the name the round of the 16. I don't know why. Sweet 16 is way better. Americans name their rounds better. That's all I gotta say. But we are in the round of the quarterfinals, and this is really where you see the cream of the crop rise. I mean, all the teams. There's no real surprise teams here. They're all the best teams. I'm just gonna run through the bracket real quick and go over, who I think is gonna win, advance to the next round, some players to watch from each squad, and see what you think. So let's start with the first matchup, which is going to be tomorrow at 4 p.m., and that is going to be Brazil against Colombia. Now, Colombia is doing the best they've done since Pablo Escobar stopped funding the team. So this is the most legitimate team they've had in a long time. And they are led by this guy. Now, James is on the back of his jersey, but I believe his name is James Rodriguez. So I guess soccer, they just do whatever they want, like Hulk. I don't think that's his name. But he's a player to watch for on Colombia. This guy is a spectacular scorer. He can score from anywhere around the box. He doesn't even have to be in the box to score. His last game, he scored 2 spectacular goals. So watch out for him. Neymar, the really big star from Brazil, I think he's a little bit hampered with a hamstring. So look out for Fred and aforementioned Hulk to really be the ones being the catalyst for that team.
You always need to watch out for the Hulk. Just saying.
He only gets stronger.
Yep.
He only gets stronger. So I'm actually predicting the home team to win, though, because in soccer, home field advantage is huge, and in the World Cup, in a soccer-crazy country like Brazil, that's going to be his big thing. So look for Brazil to move past Colombia, even though I think it'll be an amazing match. This probably, I'm looking at the matches, that's going to be the number 2 matchup to watch. And I'll tell you why, because the next matchup we'll be going over is actually France versus Germany, and that game starts tomorrow at noon. And France and Germany are 2 of the most traditional powers in soccer there is. I mean,
they're also very traditionally rivals in more than just soccer.
Yeah, well, World War I and II, hey, so
before that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did they have another war before that?
They've had many wars before that. Well, there's
Napoleon did some stuff to Germany.
Well, if we're going to go into a history
Charlemagne.
That was when they were together. It was all Charlemagne. It was all the same country, and then he split up his empire into what eventually was France and Germany.
So.
But when he died, but yes, there was also the Franco-Prussian War. That was really the big thing that led into World War I, because they were bitter over how the land lineup was settled. Yeah, that's your history lesson in soccer, though.
That is your history lesson brought to you by Words from My Face. The more you know. Okay, let's get into real soccer, though. So, France and Germany, again, we just went through why they're such huge rivals. And right now, those are two of the better teams out there. Players to watch out for is really on the French side. Look for Benzema. This guy is a beast. He can score from everywhere. Very athletic. He's great at controlling the ball. One of the game right now. And then on the German side, you want to look for a player, Ozil. He's the midfielder, and he controls the ball all the way up. He's the guy who sets everybody up in the box. You have players like Müller and Schweinsteiger and stuff like that. Those guys look so good because of what Ozil does for them. And I don't know if it's Ozil. All I know is that name does not sound German. Conspiracy.
Is he the one that scored against the U.S.?
I don't believe so. But I think that was Müller scored against the U.S. But I bet you he had a hand in that goal. So
and let's hear about Müller and how he must go down.
Well, here's hoping. Well, I mean,
I'm not that bitter.
I'm not that bitter either. It's soccer. We still made it through that round, so it didn't.
We were surprised
really
to make
matter.
it through that round. So.
Yeah. So as long as we make it through the round, no hard feelings, none here. And you know what? The NSA is probably going to spy on them anyway, so they'll get back at them somehow. Because that's what the NSA does. Womp womp.
Okay.
I don't know where that came from, but it's what happens, all right? So those are the two players you want to look for. I really think Germany is probably the best all-around team. Just seems like they're super strong at every single position, from strikers all the way back to the defensemen. So I expect it to be probably like a 2-1, maybe 3-2 game, but Germany will probably prevail in that one. So that's the one to check out. So those two games are tomorrow. Check them out if you have time. If you're at work or something, this is what I do. Keep it secret from the bosses. But there's this app called Watch ESPN. It streams all the games, everything you'd ever want, and it comes through nice and clear. Watch your data usage because it shoots it up. But it is a good way to watch the game. So. And then let's move on to the games that are going to be happening on Saturday. You know what? I just take that back. Tomorrow's July 4th. Everybody is off except for me.
Yes, so if any of you are in the same boat as Brian and not off of work, then and there's that thing he said. For everyone else, you're off of work anyway.
So sad. It makes me so sad I have to work. But I'll get over it. That's how I roll. So, yeah, so check out those games tomorrow. Then on Saturday, we have coming up on the other side of the bracket, we have Netherlands, probably the best offensive team left out there, against Costa Rica, which is a pretty big surprise. Nobody even expected them to get out of their group, let alone show up their group like they did. And then they beat Greece in penalty kicks last week, so that's a pretty big one. Greece not the greatest team, but hey, if you're in the round of 16, that means you're one of the 16 best teams in the whole world. So. You're doing all right. So
yeah,
look for those. Now, I'm not going to tell you a Costa Rica player.
Be too much of a problem though, because they dominated their group just so much.
Yeah, and there's a reason I'm not going to tell you any Costa Rica player. Not because I just don't know any Costa Rica players. Okay,
not
maybe
just
a little
because
bit.
of that.
Not just because of that, but also because there's the two offensive players that you really want to watch on the Netherlands, and that is going to be Aaron Robben and something Van Persie. I don't know what his first name is.
Ooh, don't even know the first. It doesn't matter.
His name is Van Persie. Anyway. All right, Van is his first name then, and Persie is his last name. I decree it.
Is the Netherlands the villains of the World Cup?
Why would they be the villains of the World Cup?
Because they're from the Netherlands. They're Dutch.
Do we not like Dutch?
Didn't you watch Austin Powers?
He does. He does.
This
hate
is the
Dutch.
worst reference ever, honestly.
Yes, because you didn't really help me out with this
one for that one to come out. All right.
So,
try to mix the movies and the sports. I guess it didn't work.
It happens. Sometimes you swing and miss. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But yeah,
so the villain. Okay, who else is going to be the villain? Who am I supposed to root against? Come on.
You can root against. I'll come to them, and they're the next set of teams that we can root against. But so I look for Netherlands probably to cruise like to a 5-2 win. I mean, Netherlands just their offensive juggernaut just seems unstoppable, and I don't think Costa Rica has what it takes to stop them. Now, again, I don't really know soccer all that well, so I could get surprised, but I've been almost pretty spot on. I think the only one I didn't pick of the group in the quarterfinals is actually Belgium, because I picked the United States to win. So, yeah, I think I've done pretty good so far.
Yeah, you might have been forgiven for that decision because it may have been swayed by some personal desires.
A little bit of homerism. Yeah, I'll admit it. I'm a homer. I love my home team. So, and the U.S. is my home team. Surprise, surprise! I'm broadcasting live from D.C. and the U.S. is my home team. Any other bombs I should drop on them?
I would prefer you not drop a bunch of bombs on people.
And Brendan's address is. I'm joking, but yeah. So I expect Netherlands just to cruise through there, and then the last matchup is going to be probably one of the more entertaining ones. Not quite as good as the France-Germany game, but hopefully pretty good, and that's Belgium versus Argentina. Now, it's really easy. I can tell you off the top of my head, the easiest player to watch in this entire tournament. And when I say easy, he makes the game beautiful. You know, you might not understand why the rest of the world loves this game until you start watching Lionel Messi. This guy is just especially the last game where they're tied going into like stoppage time, and he's just like, okay, you know what, I'm going to take over real quick. Like dribbles around to 10 people and then finds an open guy to score a goal. I mean, this guy it's just so beautiful to watch him play. He's graceful. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
Does the sun shine behind his head constantly? Rainbows shoot out of his armpits. And
the wind is always at his back, you know. Yeah. It's, so, I mean...
There always seems to be this glitter of gold falling from the sky as he plays.
Which
might be getting in the eyes of all the other players, which is why he can play so well.
Hey, he's got advantages. He does. But then on the Belgium side, really the player to watch is Eden Hazard. Now, I think a lot of people call him Hazard, and I don't think there's an R in there. Now, I could be wrong. Let me know in comments down below if I'm wrong. But, yeah, pretty sure there's no R in Hazard.
Yeah, it could just be a nickname for him because it's already so close. You know?
He's
maybe
a hazard.
Because he's a hazard. It sounds cooler than Hazard.
It does kind of sound cooler than Hazard. But yeah, so those are the guys to watch in that matchup. Now this one's going to be pretty tough. This is the one I'm not sure. I think Belgium has a better team in general, but Argentina has Lionel Messi.
That might be all they need.
Exactly. I mean, that might be all they need. So I'm going to say it's kind of a toss-up, but I'm going to throw my lot behind the Belgium because they beat the U.S. And if you're going to beat us, I at least want you to go pretty far. So.
All right, you know what? I'm going to go behind Argentina because they have Messi and because I know more people that care for Argentina.
Well, there you go. We are split on words from my face.
And its name begins with an A instead of a B, so it comes first. There you go.
That is true. That is true.
Argentina. You got your advantages right there.
Before Belgium. But yeah, so let us know what you think. Who's going to win? Who's going to make it out? Who are some of the players to watch? Let us know in comments down below. Of course, at Words from My Face on Twitter, wordsfrommyface@gmail.com, and always Google+. That's the thing. It's out there. We look at it. We listen to it. And wordsfrommyface@gmail.com, but nobody ever uses the Gmail. When's the last time you sent an email? Let me know the last time you sent an actual email in comments down below. I'm curious about that too, because usually I just click a link and it says, okay, message this person, and then I messages and email happens, but I don't usually go into email and send something else.
You could be especially clever and email us when the last time you used an email was. And just put it now.
Right now. Person who does that gets a special prize of the sock I'm wearing right now. People want that. You do. You do. I'll wash it first because it's kind of smelly. So, but then you'll get it in a box. So just enclose your address with the email and title it right now. And let's see how many hits we get on that one. So, but yeah. So that's the World Cup. Again, let us know what you think. Comments down below, all those other places. And let's move this gravy train right along and talk about a young man, and his name is Bryce Harper. Now, Bryce Harper, if you don't know, he was drafted when he was 17. He was drafted number 1 by the Washington Nationals. Now, this guy couldn't even vote. Couldn't sip a beer, couldn't do anything. You know, he just young kid, and he actually was eligible to be drafted, and he came out when he was 17 because he actually, I believe he skipped a couple grades in school, went straight to a community college. I think he actually graduated there. I'm not so sure. So he's a pretty smart kid. But he was drafted young and didn't really give a lot of time to adjust, because a lot of these young players, especially in baseball, they draft them and they throw them right in the minor league system. Now, Bryce Harper did spend some time in the minor league system, but not as much, not even nearly as much as most kids his age that would actually come out and play baseball. So there's reasons for that. Number one, he's uber talented. I mean, this kid can throw the ball across the field. He can hit home runs like there's no tomorrow. He's as fast as anybody in the game. But he has one problem, and that's he likes to run his mouth. So recently, Bryce Harper, earlier this year, hurt his thumb, and he was out for about 57 games of the year. Now, you might be like, 57 games, that's amazing, but that's really only about a third of the season. So whereas it's not good for the Nationals, it's not horrible. So of course, Matt Williams, he's actually a rookie manager right now, trying to figure out a way to arrange the lineup without one of his best players in there. Well, so he got a pretty good rotation going for, Bryce Harper was a left fielder. He was able to stick other people in left field, move around a couple other places, because the Washington Nationals actually were pretty hurt this year. They had injuries to like Ryan Zimmerman, one of their better players who normally played third base. I believe they had injuries to their right fielder, Jason Worth, for a little bit. Their catcher, Ramos, has been out for a while. And they've had pitcher problems from here and there, but they're finally starting to come together and gel. Now, the problem with what Bryce Harper did was on Monday, before he played his first game, a reporter came to him and said, hey, you know what? It's kind of crowded out there right now. There's a lot of really good talent out there. Where do you think you fit into the lineup? And so, pretty straightforward question. Bryce Harper starts to saying, hey, you know what? I like playing center field. I think I would be good in center field. Okay, no problem there. And then he goes, you know what? Ryan Zimmerman should stay in left field. Okay. Keep Espinosa on second base because he's one of the best second base players. Keep the infield the same. Keep right field the same. But yeah, put me in center field.
I don't think they asked him for the lineup of everyone.
Exactly, they didn't. They really didn't. And now the problem with him saying this is one of your best I'm not even going to say one of your best defensive players. Your best defensive player is Denard Span. This guy is in center field, and he can run from wall to wall. He'll catch anything in front of him. He's actually a pretty decent hitter as well. This is one of the veteran leaders of this Washington Nationals team. And so Bryce Harper, he was asked, but he kind of elaborated more than he needed to and said, hey, bench Denard Span. I'm better. I like the lineup better. This is what you should do. So that kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So, you know what? It's baseball. He's a young kid. He made a mistake. We're going to move past this. Then following day, he's asked, well, hey, what do you think about batting sixth in the lineup? Bryce Harper's used to batting about third or fourth. Those are actually two of the most prestigious spots. If anybody who bats between 1 and 4 usually are considered better hitters on your team. So if you get in one of those spots, you're one of the best ones. Number 4 is usually your power hitter because that's the cleanup hitter. Yeah. Theoretically, if you get all the first 3 people on base, that's the guy that's going to clear the bases. So you do have spots that you want to be a little better and everything like that. And usually number 1 hitter is going to be more of a speedy guy. If he can get on base right away, he can steal a base and move into scoring position. You can get the ball rolling. And so Bryce Harper was hitting 6. He said, you know what? I deserve to hit either first or fourth. And it's like, huh. And again, Denard Span, I believe, hits first. So another veiled shot at Denard Span and some of the other people that are out there, because you have players like Jason Worth, who was batting, I believe he was batting either 4th or 5th, or maybe 3rd.
Just generally saying that he's the best.
Yeah, and so this has rubbed a lot of the veterans on that team the wrong way. And I understand. Who wants to have a young 21-year-old kid come in and say, hey, I haven't been playing, but this is where I should play? Now, you would think it would become a huge stink, and it has gotten some media attention, but the manager, Matt Williams, actually did a pretty good job in diffusing the situation, just saying, you know what, hey, he's entitled to his opinion. This is where I think the guy should be, but, I understand what he's saying, and I respect his opinions, which I bet you Matt Williams really wanted to say, hey, you kid, shut up. I'm not listening. Because, yeah.
Or just essentially what he was saying is like, yeah, he can think whatever he wants, but I'm the manager, and I set the lineup. So,
Now, this puts Matt Williams in a very, very hard position because there's he can try and smooth things over with Bryce Harper, whereas he might alienate some of the veterans on his team, or B, he can try to placate to his veterans whereas he might lose the face of the franchise right now in Bryce Harper. So it's kind of a bad position to put your manager in. And really, my big issue with this is you're only 21, man. Get out there, play whatever position the manager wants you to play it as hard as you possibly can, and watch what happens. You do that, you play to your full ability, which is a ton. I mean, this guy's got so much ability, it's absurd. Play to the best of your ability, control what you're supposed to be able to control, which is what you play like on the field wherever you're playing, and let the rest sort itself out. When you make these grand demands, and again, he's not quite demanding anything, but it's not looking so good. It really just hurts everybody around you. And who doesn't want to be part of a winning organization? I know if I'm going to be a sports
player, I certainly want to be part of a winning organization. I'll tell you that much.
Exactly. That's why you're part of Words from My Face. Ha ha.
Yes.
Are we an organization yet?
I don't know. Let's ask Chewbacca.
That's a yes. That's a yes in Wookiee. So if you guys don't know Wookiee, that's a yes. But really, I mean, this kid, he was so good. I remember an interview with him 2 years ago. He was I believe 19 at the time. He was up in Toronto playing against the Blue Jays, I believe, or some team. And the drinking age in Canada is actually 18. So one of the reporters up there asked him, "Hey, since you're up here, drinking age is 18, you're going to drink a beer." Now, that's a trap question. Total trap question. Bryce Harper came out with one of the most memorable quotes I'll ever hear and looks at the guy and goes, "That's a clown question, bro." So he does know how to navigate these tricky questions. But for some reason, it seems like recently he just hasn't wanted to. He's just like, you know what, I'm just going to say whatever I want and people can deal with it.
Maybe his head's getting a little too big.
Yeah, what kind of attitude is that for a 21-year-old trying to work and really make his name? Because you know what? If you never play again, nobody will remember you in 5 years. They'll be like, well, Nationals fans will, because they'll be like, "Hey, man, that kid had so much talent," and then wasted it. But in the grand scheme of things,
he hasn't established himself yet. He hasn't had enough time to establish himself as some amazing player. He's not the Nationals, I don't know, Cal Ripken or whoever else you want to say. He's not Babe Ruth. He's no one. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Is
a player, but you haven't established anything yet. Okay?
If he stopped playing tomorrow, in the grand scheme of things, most baseball fans would totally forget all about him. So all I'm saying, Bryce Harper, is I went on a long rant there. Shut your mouth, play the game to your best of your ability, and I guarantee you everything will work out the way you want it. Don't make demands of your coach. Don't make demands of the other players on the team, especially not players that have been doing this for 10, 15 years, like Ryan Zimmerman, like Jason Worth, Denard Span. I think he's close to the 10-year mark. Listen and learn from those guys so that you can just get better and better and better. Because, like I said 100 times in this little rant, you have all the ability in the world. Shut your mouth. Use your talents. That's about the end of the rant. But let me know what you guys think. Should he shut his mouth? Is this just him, making his voice heard? And since he is one of the best players, should he?
Is he
make
as
his
good
voice
as he
heard?
thinks? Is he actually though that good? Is what I'd want to know. Come on, he might be good, but come on, to talk this big at this young of age, I don't know.
I mean, he's good, but again, you're right. That's all these things. So let us know what you guys think. We'd love to hear it. Comments down below at Words for My Face on Twitter, wordsformyface.com, and Google+. All things that you can hit us up. Is he talking too much? Is he not talking enough? Is he really as good as I think he is? Am I just crazy with how good I think he is? And if I am crazy about how good I think he is, I'm going to say you're wrong, because he's awesome. But hey, hate on it. You know what? We want hate mail. We don't get enough hate mail.
No.
Maybe because people just love us so much.
You know what I really want to hear from the viewers? What do they think would happen if Bryce Harper played against Chewbacca with a chainsaw?
I can give you a glimpse or two in what would happen, and that's probably a few of his appendages would be missing afterwards.
So I think we can establish here that he's at least not as good as Chewbacca.
I think you're correct there. I think that is safe to say. Chewbacca, Bryce Harper. Maybe no, I'm dropping Bryce Harper off there. There's nobody who's up in the same level as Chewbacca. Sorry, nobody's even in the same screen for the level. It's all just Chewbacca.
Yeah, what people don't know is that there's actually an intergalactic series. There's the World Series. We see that's a small time. There's an intergalactic series. Chewbacca always wins.
Chewbacca did bring baseball to the planet Earth when he first arrived. People, little known fact, Chewbacca invented baseball. He didn't invent it, he just brought it to us. So, and he invented it too. He's standing over me with the chainsaw. He invented it too. Yeah, he did it all. So, yeah. So let us know what you guys think. And let's take this time to roll it over to the next subject of the night, and that is the NBA free agency. Now, that just started on July the 1st. Technically at 12 a.m., everything started moving. That is when teams are allowed to contact unrestricted free agents. I believe they're allowed to contact restricted free agents. Nobody's allowed to really sign a deal, but deals are allowed to kind of be, gentlemen agreements are allowed to be made. I believe there's a moratorium on signing any contracts until the 10th of July, but this is really where all the players are dipping their toes in the water, seeing what free agency is like. I'm going to talk about a couple of the bigger free agents out there, or I'd say most important free agents. And let's start it off with Carmelo Anthony, because this guy is the number one free agent this year right now. Now, you could say, what about Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and LeBron James? They all opted out of their contracts, but I have every confidence that they're all three going to stay in Miami. Might be a little iffy because I'm hearing talks about LeBron James saying he wants more money, which is a max contract is what he wants. And not the biggest LeBron James fan here. Great talent. He just beat my team 3 years in a row in the playoffs. So,
I thought LeBron James was going to go for a lesser contract if they really want to be the Big Four.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of, those rumors have kind of just died away. They're not really going to try to go for Carmelo. I don't think they can right now. But LeBron James came out and said he wanted to be the highest paid player on his team. Now, he has been in the league for 11 years, and he has had 11 spectacular years, and he never once has been the highest paid player on his team, which, when I found that out, I was kind of shocked. I was like, who the heck was better than him in his Cleveland years? Who was even on the same, like stratosphere as him? Who was in the same ozone as him? Nobody on the
pay does not equate to how good the player is, and that's the case in every sport. It depends on a lot of things, but especially in basketball, it seems, because you see a lot of players, really good players, that take less than their max all the time.
Yeah, because you want to be on a good team, and that makes sense. You want to make sure that you're not, putting a chokehold on your team so that they have the flexibility to go out and get other good players, which it seemed like LeBron James was willing to do when he first showed up in Miami. It doesn't sound like he's so willing to do it now. Now, he still has a couple suitors, like Chicago says they're still trying to go for him. I believe LA is always a destination for everybody, and also Dallas. Those are the ones that keep popping up. But Carmelo Anthony is really the guy to look at because he's the one that's really going to be moving. Now, his first visit was to Chicago. They actually fitted him for a jersey while he was in Chicago, so they're pretty confident there.
Yep.
Just yesterday, he actually showed up in Houston and Dallas. And what intrigues me about him in Dallas is a really good friend of his and a teammate for a while in New York. Tyson Chandler actually just signed in Dallas. Either he got traded there or he signed there. He's in Dallas right now, and he's really making a big push to bring Carmelo Anthony in. So that'll be interesting. Honestly, I think he's going to be a Chicago Bull next year. I don't really see any way around it. New York Knicks fans still think that Phil Jackson can lure him back, but sorry, ain't going to happen. I just see him being a Chicago Bull because when you match him up with Joakim Noah and a healthy Derrick Rose, if Derrick Rose can ever get healthy, they're probably the only contention for the Heat in the East if the big three come back. So.
And Chicago's such a good basketball town anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like Dallas, not as much. They're a football place. Texas in general, that's a football state. They'll love basketball, but it's not going to get the same attention as you'll get in Chicago, I think. So.
No, that's very true. I mean, Chicago, that is a basketball town. That's a basketball and hockey and football. Well, that's a sports town, really.
But their basketball has such a deep. Especially their basketball has such a deep history from the Bulls during the 90s. In general, they've had a long history, and when I think of Chicago, I think first of the Chicago Bulls.
Oh yeah.
Their football team, the Bears, they've been around for a long time. They're a very dedicated fan base there. The Sox, very dedicated there. Cubs, lots of sports there. But I think the Bulls, personally, I think that in Chicago, obviously people really love the Bulls still. So
Yeah, I would say if you rank the sports in Chicago, like in DC, it's easy. I can rank them for you right now. It goes football, basketball, hockey, soccer, way down the
you
list.
forgot baseball's up there.
Oh, I'm sorry. It goes football, baseball, basketball, soccer, and I only put baseball above basketball. Well, if the Wizards make another run at the playoffs.
That one.
Yeah,
I think maybe basketball is a little higher because it's been consistently around a little longer.
It's true. Yeah, they didn't have a team for about 60 years here in DC, but hey, you
Yeah.
know. So, but let's talk about some of the other free agents that are going to be floating around out there. Now, the first one on my list, and I'm super glad that I will be crossing him off my list, is Marcin Gortat, the very talented Polish hammer. He's a center. And that is because he got re-signed by the Washington Wizards, and he was a really big part in them making such a great playoff push and then a good playoff run afterwards. So they're keeping him locked up. He's a big one. The next free agent is going to be another Wizards free agent, and that's Trevor Ariza, coming off of a career year where I believe he averaged about 14 points and something like 40% shooting from the from the three-point line. And now 40% shooting just in general is a pretty good shooting percentage, but from the three-point line is amazing. So he's got a big push going for him to stay in Washington. He's actually come out through his agent and said he would like to stay in Washington, but I mean, money is a big thing, so you never know what's going to happen, because apparently the Heat are also looking to get him. Houston wants a player like him. LA Lakers want a player like him. So there's going to be a lot of big dogs in the ring, but hopefully he'll come back to Washington. But you never know. That's one of those things. Luol Deng, the small forward, previously of Chicago, looks like he's going to end up back in Chicago if Chicago does not end up getting Carmelo Anthony, which, again, don't really see that not happening. But if he doesn't end up in Chicago, again, there's a team like Miami. They're looking for another good backup, small forward to LeBron James, and Dallas is always a place that he might show up as well. I've also heard him linked to LA Lakers, and if you'll notice, I'm saying a lot of the same teams over and over and over, because these are the teams that usually go after the big-name free agents. Houston was also thrown in the mix there, I believe, so see where he goes. Then you have Greg Monroe out of Detroit. The two teams I hear him most connected with are Houston and LA. Don't really understand Houston as much because I believe he's a natural center, and you've already got Dwight Howard. So unless you're planning on moving one of those guys to another position, it really wouldn't work there. And LA, they just need as much help as they can get. So if they picked up everybody on my free agent list, they might be a decent team. But other than that,
that would be pretty amazing, actually. They're lit up new team.
They've got them all. Even Marcin Gortat, who already signed with the Wizards. How did they do that, you ask? They're called LA, and they promise you a Kardashian sister if you come and play for them.
Little known fact.
They offer the Kardashian sisters out if you come and play for them. So, okay, that's a rumor. That's alleged. All right, that's not even a rumor. I just made that up right now. I solved
Now it's a rumor.
We just started that rumor. I mean, I solve all legal troubles when I say allegedly and it's fake, right?
Maybe. We'll find out.
It's fake. Please do not send us that cease and desist letter. But yeah. Then the next one on the list is Zach Randolph. Now, this guy's going to stay in Memphis. That was the team that really showed him the most love. He was a good Portland player, but when he came out of Portland, not many teams showed that much interest in him. And he's been endeared to the Memphis fans. I can't see him going anywhere else. Look for him to stay put in Memphis. Lance Stevenson is actually probably the second most coveted free agent outside of Carmelo Anthony out there, and that's because he's just a very versatile player. Now, you might know him from "I'm going to blow in your ear, LeBron James" during the playoffs, but that apparently hasn't stopped many teams from still going for his services.
That was obviously a brilliant defensive strategy. So
yeah,
because throw off LeBron. Honestly, that probably does get him attention because people are talking about him, and that's a pretty ballsy move. Like, ballsy move.
Yeah. And not only doing it once, doing it twice. So
doing it to LeBron James, hailed often as the best player in the NBA right now, except for by a few people who would say that's really
Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
only Kevin Durant. But yeah,
well, LeBron James,
you mean me,
definitely has a lot of that attention right now. So he's going he's a giant of a figure in basketball for the
Man,
last
he's a
several
giant
years.
of a figure, like in life too. That guy's 6'8" and like 250 pounds. He's a beast. So, but yeah.
But to put
So
on the guy's ear, that over and over.
Lance Stevenson
During
actually,
the
the Pacers trying to keep him. Part of their recruiting thing was, again, teams are allowed to start talking to free agents on 12 a.m. on July 1st. So they had a little movie date with him. They rented out a movie theater, I believe, and showed him like a highlight clip of himself as a Pacer at 12 o'clock as part of the recruiting pitch. So they're really looking to keep him. Now, if they don't end up keeping him, again, he's linked to places like New York Knicks. If they don't end up keeping him, I could see someone like Gordon Hayward coming in there. He's a really good small forward, or shooting guard, I'm sorry. He from Butler, but plays right now in Utah. And you know what? This is kind of where some of the dominoes fall. If Lance Stevenson stays in Indiana, I bet you Gordon Hayward is going to end up in Boston to reunite with his former coach from Butler, Brad Stevens. So it'll be interesting to see where some of these guys fall. And you know what? That's actually my list of free agents. So that was a lot of them, though. I went through a lot.
Yeah. Are there any more out there?
There's like 100 more, but these are the ones I really thought were notable. So those are the ones I went over. You have
maybe
Kyle
some of those other
Lowry.
people. Maybe you're just overlooking some of those other players. Like some of those other free agents are going to be sleeper hits wherever they go. You know, I just feel disappointed that we haven't gone through all hundreds.
All hundreds. Well,
In the course of this,
Tony too. Like when I was doing my
half-hour
research
show.
for the show, they were like, okay, these are all the free agents for this next year. And I'm looking at it like Derek Fisher was on the list. I'm like, do you know that he actually is a coach now? I don't think he's going to sign with another team when he's coaching one.
That
so
would be
was weird.
hilarious and awesome.
I'm going to
Conflict of
coach
interest
the New
when
York
he's
Knicks, but I'm
yeah.
going to play for the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, it'd have to be a cross-town team, so that's pretty interesting there. So, but yeah, like Kyle Lowry would have been one of the ones I talked about, but he signed yesterday or this morning with the Raptors. So I mean, there's a couple of the free agents that have already signed, so I kind of crossed those guys off the list. I had to talk about Marchand though. The Polish Hammer will return to DC. That's all I gotta say. I love that.
I'm hearing fireworks outside right now.
It's not 4th of July yet, but
It
4th
is
of
not.
July
We
is
got 2
tomorrow.
hours. So.
You know what? 4th of July is tomorrow, so happy 4th of July, everybody. When actuality, really, I don't believe the Declaration of Independence was fully signed until August 30th, but
August
still
2nd?
August 2nd. Okay, I was off my days a little bit. I
If
knew
you
there was
know for sure, comment down below.
comment
Clearly
down
I'm
below.
right,
Let us know.
So let everyone know that I was right.
So happy Independence Day to everybody. Happy 4th of July. I hope you all have a safe time out there because fireworks are a lot of fun, but they can also hurt if they're shot in your face.
And if some of these fireworks going off right now burn down my house, I'm going to be a little bit bitter. So
We might
hope
not
they
have
don't.
a Monday show if his house is burned down. So, hey, you never know what'll happen here on Words from My Face.
Only sound
We're
real close.
crazy. But yeah, so as always, I am Brian. With me, as always, producer extraordinaire Brendan.
Yo,
And we are going to headbang our way out of here.
all the way
That's
out.
right. All the way
All
out,
the
not
way.
half the way out, all the way out.
4th
We're
of
gonna-
July, the way out.
4th of
Yes.
July, the way out. And I'll just do my announcer voice. Wait, that's my quick hits voice. This is my announcer voice. Tell me which voice you like better while I'm waiting for Brendan to start the headbanging song, and I'm just scrambling to solve time. And I don't have to anymore. Woo! Man, I love the way that we end this show now. And I always look really, really crazy because I've just been thrashing my hair around. But
You always look
good night,
crazy.
everybody! I do always look crazy.